Good evening. Hello everyone, welcome to the second evaluation race here with Invictus Racing League. We've got our drivers ready to go in the lobby. We're just waiting on just a couple of more settings changes and we'll be ready for tonight's action. For those that didn't tune in last week, or if you've forgotten what we did last week, it's exactly the same format as we run last week. It's around Silverstone for the first race. We've got qualifying, which will be a one-shot qualifying session followed by a 25% race. Then we'll have a little breather. We'll go off to Austria for the second race, which will be a one-shot qualifying and a 25% race as well. Really looking forward to the action. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Good evening to Stephen and Bjorn. Good to have you both here. And I'm also delighted to say that joining me in the commentary box, hopefully you can hear me and you can hear him more importantly, we've got ARL with us.
Hello, good evening. Nice to be back in the commentary box after some time, but yeah. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. It's really good to have you back. I'm so excited that I've got someone else in the box with me. I think what everyone can only see is the broadcast scenario, but hopefully that should come back on the screen for everybody. Yes, they can. Errol, just do a quick mic test for me, just so I can hear you.
Yeah, no, hopefully you can hear me all loud and clear, I can hear you. Yeah.
Through loud and clear on the stream, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's always the worrying thing at the very beginning. You don't want to be speaking for half an hour only to find out you're not being commentating anything on the stream, so find out now.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing just to tell you, ARL, just make sure you press the spectator button on the lobby. I think it's there. You go. He's sorted it.
Perfect.
So before we get started, how long has it been since you last commentated? Because I know we've discussed it a little bit on Discord, but how long has it been? Were you replacing Malk at one point?
I believe it was. It was definitely for the RP tier. And it wasn't the season before, it was actually the previous one before that. So it's just over a year. And yeah, no, a few races I stepped in for Malk, and no, it was great fun. And often I'd have Mikey alongside, so it was good company. And yeah, so it was a great experience. But I'm happy to be back though, for sure.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're in with us tonight. I'm super looking forward to it. Just having a look to see. Gel has sent a message. Okay, right. So this is good information for us both, ARL. So Gel has messaged to say, might try and start last at Silverstone and see how that goes. I'm trying to get ready for the season to battle, not to run at the front with a winky face. So I might just crash at the start of qualifying. Maybe disqualify yourself, actually. Might be... Actually, maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to take an off track because that puts you behind people who don't fit. So he's already planned ahead. So maybe he will have to crash.
Yeah, he will, because it is famous for if you invalidate your lap, you do want to retire the car because you actually start ahead of others who invalidate their lap. So yeah, maybe best to crash early on. But it doesn't mean he's giving himself much practice for the race, he's just going to jump straight into it.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe even set a slow lap time. Gel might be a good idea for you, might make your life a bit easier. We're just waiting on DXT Matty. He was in the lobby, but he seemingly has been kicked out. So we are going to get going in a moment once what's the word I'm looking for? Once he gets it back into the lobby. Bjorn's just said he's not racing because it would have been his 5th Silverstone race this month, and he's got to be up early tomorrow.
Well, I mean, you can never go wrong with the Silverstone circuit. I mean, it's just a brilliant track, but I do understand sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming, and then you have to remember you've still got 21 other tracks to remember. So yeah, I can't really blame him for that.
No, I can't either, to be honest with you. There's a lot of different configurations of circuits that we have in the F125 calendar. Of course, next year we're going to be getting a new circuit in the form of Madrid. We'll see how that plays out. But it looks like the lobby is starting to ready up and get going. ARL, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Not in terms of a race prediction, because that would be too mean. But would you be happy to do an onboard lap with somebody? Who are you going to pick and maybe walk us through a lap?
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, it's difficult here because you know I recognise a few people that I've raced against, had teammates. So it's I mean it's all to play with, but you know I mean who could I choose really? I think I'll just let the game choose the first one out, and we'll stick on board with them probably.
Happy days. You tell me who it is then when it comes to you, and I will just make sure that we're following it on the screen for the stream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know somebody who's going to be desperate for me to commentate on, and that's Ashtu, because we've had amazing races as teammates together. I think you can agree on that. But yeah, no. So yeah, we'll see who we go on board with. But the thing is, of course, this is one-shot qualifying, so the order's going to be flicking around very quickly. So it's always a bit of a challenge to keep an eye out on the majority of the drivers. But yeah, we'll have to stick to one. But you know, the likes of Merck, you know, never count out. He'll always be up there.
Yeah.
And you know, so yeah.
So we're going into the qualifying then. We're about to get started. Obviously, fixed setups for the drivers. We're running the same weather settings as we did last week as well. The session due to start in less than 30 seconds. So the fixed setups, what we mean by that is the presets. You get 5 setups that the game can choose for you. They're quite good this year, actually, in terms of balance. So it just comes down to what the drivers want to select. And it should keep the field quite close and tight. We saw that last week in the evaluation race 1, so we're here for the second one this evening. Mikey's saying he's going to do a Daryl. Please don't, Mikey. He had a big incident last week in Austria. We could do without another one. ARL, take it away.
Right, here we go. So for me, the first one is actually going to be Mercked, as funny enough, or Matty actually. Well, right, we'll stick with Mercked since we said it in first. But so coming down into the main first heavy braking point, turn 3. You want to line up the car nicely and try and get the rotation, because now you want to get the power down. Of course, amazing opportunity to overtake in the race. And he now comes up to the next corner, Brooklyn. Sometimes you want to avoid a little bump on the straight there. It was on the previous game. I think it's been fixed though for here. But anyway, now through Brooklyn's now through Luffield. Now get under the power as soon as you can. A little bit of the rear, not happy with his Haas. And now as he goes through, coming up to the Copse corner as well. Quite a good chance for overtaking, especially on the first lap. Can he keep it flat out? Yes, he can. Remember, watch out the track limits here. If you're running too much top speed, not enough downforce, then you will suffer through there. Now the infamous Maggots and Beckett's get the car nicely over the curbs. Don't lose the rear on traction. Keep it within track limits, and he does that nicely. DRS goes enabled, and he's now on the hanger straight. Again, another amazing opportunity to overtake. Many chances in this Grand Prix if you're starting at the back to get back up. And he just goes a bit off. I think it was that within track limits, though. I don't know. I think he's kept the lap valid, though, somehow. Going over the line, but now he gets the power down. You want it as soon as you can, deploy all the battery left, and he just goes to P2 with a 27.5. But Sydney out-qualifies him there. So Sydney takes the pole position, 27.3 from Merck in P2 with a 27.5. Ashtube sneaks it into P3 with Rudo following behind. Then Hulkenberger in P5 with Joe in 6th. Owen 7 with Clips Kiri in 8th. Iron and Sunboy fills out the top 10. After that we have Kent in P11 with Nitro Gash, followed by Mikey, O Steven with Typhoon, I assume is the name. Then DXT Matty with Gel Geeson, I apologise for the name, with DJ Madman and Gusto following the order. Just checking, Jack, if you're there. Just seemed a bit quiet. Might be experiencing some technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. So just apologies.
For the last 30 seconds, I've just talked and realised I was on mute.
Ah,
so
it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do, and I've said it. I've had those moments as well, and it's just a heart in your mouth scenario. Realising everything you've said has completely gone. I'm hopefully now we learned our lesson, so we didn't miss too much.
No, it's not like me to make a mistake like that, to be fair. But in truth, all I was saying was what Bjorn de Bulls asked in the comments. He's just saying about Merck not being P1 is kind of crazy. I was saying, yeah, that you would normally put the money on Merck to be right at the sharp end. He is. He's on the front row of the grid as we go into the formation lap. You got the McLaren on the right of Sydney and Merck in the Haas on the left. But what I was saying was, we know Sydney's a very quick driver. He's absolutely fantastic. He's the one who can keep up and beat Merck in a straight fight. Bjorn has also asked ARL, where are you from?
Well, actually, I'm half Welsh, half French, believe it or not, and I somehow live in Dubai. So it's a very intriguing combination of nationalities, and yeah. So there's your answer. I hope that satisfies you, Bjorn. I don't know if you're expecting anything else, but yeah, there you go.
Well, we have one mystery cleared up in terms of dual nationality. In terms of the questions we've got for this evening in terms of strategy for tyres, we've got a little bit of a rainbow going on. We have Sydney on the soft tyre. Merck, Owen and Clips are the only other three drivers on the medium compound tyres in the top 10. Mikey O'Stephen, DXT Matty and Gattuso at the back of the grid are running the harder shod tyre in terms of the yellow wall Pirellis. Everyone else on a soft, so that's an interesting dynamic for everyone to take.
Clearly no use of the hard. Of course, it's a 25% race, is it not? So
it is.
No need of that white compound tyre. Simply, you won't make use of it. Even if you go the longevity-wise, the mediums should do good enough. But as well, the pace. How much pace does that hard tyre got? But yeah, as well, what's really good on this game, it does seem, is there's more mix on tyre strategies. Now, this will come more into play in the 50% races, but there seems to be not just the simple now medium hard or the soft hard strategy. So, we'll see that more through the actual season itself, which should be very, very exciting. And yeah, just to go back to that comment about not being surprised, that Merck isn't on pole. Remember, this is a completely new game, so this shakes up everything, and I've tried it myself, and for me personally, it's put me a bit further back where I wanted to. So it's going to shake up a lot of things as we go through the beginning of the season.
Yeah, certainly will do. I'm really excited, and I'm really fascinated to see how the drivers get on with the game. And like ARL was saying, the tyre wear around this game is a lot heavier than in previous years. But enough about that for the time being. There's a Ferrari sideways. Let's see who makes the best start at Silverstone. And the race is live, and the drivers barrel towards turn one. Looks like a good start from the Haas on the inside line. They're side by side into turn one. Merck's going to just about nip into the lead. There's contact in the background. That's a Sauber and a Red Bull. I think one of them was Owen going sideways, but the two at the front are still side by side. O'Stephen and Owen are out, and that's a safety car already.
Yeah, no, quite a bit of a hairy one at the back of the field. Mikey, it seemed, got a little bit sideways just on the initial launch, caused a few cars to go around him and then through into turn one. I'm not sure how Owen did go offline. I saw two Red Bulls, in fact, a little bit out of it. I wasn't sure if it's Owen, though, who lost the rear out of turn one and unfortunately collecting the Mercedes of O'Stephen. But either less, they are both out with heavy damage.
That's an absolute nightmare. So 2 weeks on the trot for Owen, going into an accident in turn one that might not have actually been his fault, which is really frustrating. He just seems to be placing himself, not through his own will, of course, but he seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm just trying to have a look at the cars that have got damage. I know Mikey's got a completely broken front wing, and the Red Bull of Gel also has front end plate damage. Typhon's got damage, and Gattuso also. So those four, I imagine, would go into the pits on this lap to get that fixed, because the safety car's out, so they're not going to lose anything. And would anyone be brave enough from the back of the grid to pit for hards? It's not the best tyre in the world on this game, but you wouldn't have to pit again, would you?
This is the thing, though. You could come into pits, and we do see actually the majority of the front runners coming in. The thing is, the hard is... It'll go to the end. It will go to the end. The question is, how much pure pace is it going to give as Merck gets a 10-second penalty for collision? Not even a speeding, a collision with Sydney.
Must have ran into the back of him, yeah.
Yeah, but that's surprising that it's a collision-wise. Normally, you get away with a warning in the game, but he's got that 10 seconds now, and he's already in the pit, so he can't serve it. So, as long as they don't make another stop, that's going to stay with him for the race itself. But as we see, the majority of them going to the hards. The question is, back to the hard scenarios, does it provide enough pace to say you don't need to pit again if you stay out during the safety car? But clearly, it makes more sense to the drivers, as we see now, is to take that pit stop under the safety car, take a slower tyre, but at least you know you're going to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true. I'm just looking at the drivers who've made that pit. I mean, I'm kind of shocked the whole field has come in for a free pit stop, apart from DXT Matty, who is the only driver who's just elected to stay out on medium tyres. So he's the only one who has to make a mandatory pit stop yet in this race. Sydney, you'd imagine that those that have gone for the medium tyres, Sydney, Nitro, Kent, Gel and Typhon, I imagine that those 5 are probably thinking they can stretch those medium tyres to the end. But that's brave, I think, on this game, because I know the tyre wear, having done quite a few career races, not just on 25%, 50%, it is very challenging.
It certainly is, and the problem that we've faced now from coming off F124 is the optimum way to go through the corners was to completely crank the steering wheel. And, you know, that would normally result in tyre wear, but that wasn't so much as the case on the game. But on this game, it does hurt. And when you have corners such as Maggots and Beckett's, where you need that sudden, you know, jitter to turn that car, it is going to put some more wear. But, of course, they do know there's a safety car. That'll knock down, what, 2-ish laps? As we see, is that Sydney or is that Merck in the pits? So that's Merck in the pits. Oh, and he's got another 10-second. I think he was coming in to remove that 10 seconds, but it seems like he just picked up another one. I think he's 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think he just sped into the pit lane as well. So I think he got one for ignoring the yellow flag, which is an interesting one. We'll have to see how that one's happened to him. But then he's got one for speeding in the pit lane. This is so... I mean, I was saying this last week we had a number of drivers last week get 10-second time penalties for speeding in the pit lane. And one point that I made was specifically that if you're going to get a penalty or a daft one like that, you'd rather do it now than in the actual season itself. You know, we're in an evaluation race. It's not so much about championship points. It's just about your pace, your race assessment, your craft. So I think for Merck, he's getting them out of the way early.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's better now than later, of course, and even if it's in the season, it's always better to be earlier on than towards the lateral stages of the season. But unless maybe, I don't know, I have a feeling maybe Merck's been done wrong here, because one of them was a yellow flag, which, in my understanding, to get a 10-second is overtaking under yellow flags.
Yeah.
And he did come into the pit, so unless he went into the pit lane, the game understood he overtook, but he is allowed to do so once he's in the lane. He's going the speed. Unless it thought he overtook illegally and therefore gave him a 10-second penalty, I don't know, but he still has another 20 seconds to clear. And I don't think he's going to get them all cleared before we get going again.
No, I can't imagine he would. I think you're right, actually. Maybe that's something that is an oversight within the game. Maybe he's gone down the pit lane. He's overtook those cars on circuit, in terms of the well, there you go, safety car in this lap, so he's definitely not going to clear them now. But maybe he's overtaken them. The game's thought, that's that. You've overtaken people on track, and it's not distinguished between the two actual on-track overtakes in the pit lane. But we will find out what happened in a little bit from Merck. He'll have to either A, clear those penalties, or B, get disqualified later on. The safety car is going into the pits now. Gattuso will not catch the safety car, so it comes down to the restart then. DXT Matty weave in the tyres, getting them up into the operating window. We're on board with Sydney, and he's gone. And then he locks up into the third to last corner, so not ideal, over the curb, and that's going to give Sydney the opportunity to close right up beneath the rear spoiler of that Williams. We are racing once again here on lap 4 at Silverstone towards turn 1. The cars barrel towards the village complex, and at the minute DXT Matty, despite his throws and worries, gets away with it, and he's not right under pressure. Merckx goes past Mikey, but lots of action everywhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just for the viewers, it does say safety car on your screen. It is not safety car conditions. We are back to racing. But yeah, no, DXT Matty through and head. Everyone has pitted off the soft tyres as well. So it's only mediums and hards. So now it's the battle of which tyre is going to be the right one to the end of the race. But we know Matty, regardless, has to pit to go onto a different tyre compound. But he's got to make it work in these early stages.
Yeah, he has to put his foot down. He needs to ideally work with Sydney. Those two are both on the mediums. Pull away from Ruddo, who's up to third on those hard compound tyres. And hopefully, if they can pull away from those guys behind, the rest of the hard tyre runners will fight a little bit too much. And maybe the offset of the tyre that Matty pits onto later will benefit him. We shall see. Very close between Clips and Sunboy, the Dutchman right behind the rear spoiler of that Williams. But no DRS available on this lap. Nitro's right there, and that's Typhon in the background going past DJ Madman, who actually lets Merckx through as well. So Madman getting himself back up to speed.
Nitro Gash makes a great move on Sunboy, gets that cleared. But this is the problem now. We have a mixture of medium and hards, and the DRS will be enabled this lap. So we're going to have somewhat of a DRS train now here, because they're all very close. I mean, if you look at the gap, nearly each car is, in fact, at the moment, pretty much in DRS range as Gusto sets the new fastest lap of the race. But he was at the very back, so he did get to start it in clean air.
I have to say, though, Gattuso's proved me massively wrong. He's actually caught the pack and overtaken Mikey, so fair play to Gattuso. He's made it back onto the train. Sydney looking at the inside of Matty, and through he goes for the race lead. And they're just about they were about a second clear, and Juliana Manu goes past Hulkenberger.
So that's crucial now for Sydney. He knows that Matty needs to pit, so he doesn't want to spend too much time fighting him. The other way, if he can't get through, is just stay with him, stay in the DRS and pull away from the car behind. But now he's cleared. Now he knows it's good buffer between himself and Ruddo, who's the next car on track that does not have to pit. And he's on the hard, but he has to now pull in, because these hard tyres in the last 3 laps or so should start to come a bit alive compared to the mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's Clips, who's been overtaken by Nitro. Nitro on an absolute mission with his medium tyres, but he's got Hulkenberger alongside him with DRS open as well. Is he going to be brave enough to go around the outside? He is. They make contact. Rear right to front left. They just about survive it. That was very, very tight, but nevertheless, Nitrogash up into 6th place. So making use of those medium tyres in these opening laps. Clips is the next driver looking at the back of Hulkenberger, who I wouldn't say is struggling at the moment, but is looking very much on the defensive compared to those around him at the minute.
Yeah, no, at the moment Nitrogash is getting up the field, making use of those mediums. Not sure what's happened to Mikey. He's dropped to the very back of the field now. We did see him obviously on lap 1, but he did have the Aston Martin quite far, remember? He didn't even catch up to the train, the Aston Martin, and he's sitting in 14th of Gusto. So he's done well there, but something's happened to Mikey to drop to 17th. So keep an eye on that as we see Hulkenberger is at... No, that's Clips Kiri just defending off the Red Bull. And you still have it. You see this, the train of cars behind the Red Bull is the 2 Hasses now of Sunboy and Merckx. Sunboy a bit down in 10th with Merckx behind. Let's see if they're going to be friendly as teammates as a Haas duo.
We'll wait and
DRS
see.
detection point, yeah. This is the problem now. You come here, you have that dirty air through Magnus and Beckett. The dirty air hurts more in this game than it has in a while, so more realistic, of course, as you see all the Red Bull just getting a little bit of a wiggle there. But the only one under threat in this battle would be Hulkenberger, because he doesn't have... No, he does have DRS through the detection points. The 2 Hasses go side by side. Merckx gets through in the head, and he's on the rear of the Red Bull now, almost pushing him along. He's going to try and go around the outside as he can. The gap just disappears, but luckily Merckx keeps it under control. It's so worrying when you get one of your tyres on that grass into a braking point. So easy to lock up, but luckily no harm done.
I'm amazed that Merck kept that on the track then, to be honest with you, going, like you say, ARL one wheel on the grass, and he just about managed to survive, but he's looking racy at the moment, is the Haas driver. You said in terms of whether it's going to be friendly or not for Sunboy and Merck. It was friendly enough, but they were both fighting for position because Sunboy definitely had his battery operating, and here we go, and move for third place. Ashtube around the outside of Ruddo, and that's a cracking move to confirm that
Very
into Luffield. Really nice.
Takes the outside, which then leads up to the inside, but it's not done yet. Ruddo on the rear of Ashtube, but he's not going to get him here. He's going to have to play smart, but I was going to say earlier around, as Ruddo goes a bit off, but he keeps it clean. I was going to say Ruddo was ready to have a look at Matty, which is an important thing because actually Ash and Ruddo are on the hard tyres and they're really on the rear of Matty. Matty cannot pull away. So are those medium tyres just being a lap older or two, starting to struggle? As you see there, he's recharging the battery. He really doesn't have anything left. As Ashtube will go to the inside, gets that move nice and clean way before the corner entry. And now, will Matty make a decision? Oh, no, he doesn't. That's a Ferrari just having a little look. And you can see Matty is locking up those front tyres. So are those tyres now gone compared to the fresh hards? As you see Ruddo just losing the rear. But Ruddo really wants to clear Matty because this is allowing Ashtube to get away. As you can see with Sydney, he's already 3.8 seconds up from Ash. So this is important for Ruddo.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a critical phase of the race now for Ruddo to make sure he cements not just the podium, but also to tag along with Ashtube to see if they can make any difference with the tyres later on in this race. Like I was saying before, next few laps, we imagine the medium tyre that Sydney and co are on at the moment is going to start falling away. Nitrogash's run, as Merck goes past Gel for 7th place, Nitrogash's run now up towards the back of the rest of the field. He's with Giuliano Manu, but how much more have those medium tyres got left to give? We'll wait and see with that. Hulkenberg is in 9th. You've got Clips and Sunboy still together. There are a few gaps appearing in the field. Gattuso up to 12th place, despite that issue that he had during the pit stop phase. He's up 7 places in this race. He's absolutely flying. Gel's up 9. He's in 8th place. And Nitro, as we were mentioning on those medium tyres, he's up 6. He's got an opportunity to try and go past Giuliano Manu, I think. He's in the DRS train right now, but he's not close enough to make that overtake for the time being. But plenty of action. It's just trying to catch it at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But don't count Nitrogash out because he will hopefully try and clear Joe. And after, it's just a 1.5 second gap to Ruddo. And Ruddo still can't get through Matty. And I've realised something here, which I think could be a very tactical decision. Ashtube is keeping Matty in that 1 second gap, which is somewhat making life very difficult for Ruddo to get through on the straights. Whether that's intentional or that's all the pace that Ash has got, it is working to his advantage.
It is definitely. That's a really good point you raised, because there is effectively a moving barrier between themselves and the former Matty, who, like we mentioned, still has to make that pit stop. So Ruddo's going to have to try and find a way past. He's going to have to get a really strong run out of the Maggots and Beckett's complex in a few corners' time. We're approaching Copse with the Ferrari driver on the sideboard view, on the offset of the T-cam is what we should say for that, really, to be honest with you, although the game deciding it doesn't want to change from that for Ruddo. Hulkenberger picking up a time penalty. There's a couple of drivers now with track limits, but will Ruddo get close enough this time? Onto the hanger straight then, DRS wide open. He's a lot closer and he's got a lot more battery than what Matty has. He swings to the outside line for Stowe corner. They lean on one another, but it's going to be a move made, and I think Matty is into the pits. There he goes.
Yeah, no, he had a poor exit onto the hanger straight. You could just see the front not turning, but that's because the tyres are completely gone. Now, important thing for Ruddo is he's just around 9/10 behind Ashtube. It's borderline coming up to the detection point here. Nitrogash still close on Joe, but can't make a move, and this is now allowing Merck to get right on the back as he brakes much later than Nitrogash, closing that distance up. We could see maybe a move or two onto the straight. Merck really close now to Nitrogash.
It absolutely is, and Merck is closing in, Nitrogash is closing in, and Gel is there or thereabouts, but he needs the front three to squabble around him just to get back within DRS. Hulkenberger's got the next train of cars running all the way from 8th down to Irren in 13th, and Sauber and Madman is actually on the case there in 14th as well. A good friend of mine is Madman. Good to see him racing in our Invictus Racing League. If you are watching, those that are watching at the moment, it's great to have you. There's quite a few of you in this evening, which is lovely to see. But Nitro is plastered to the black and green Sauber in front of us. Through the left, then the right. And that's a really nice run from the McLaren. DRS wide open. Here we go down a hanger straight. This should be move complete. Where is Merckx as the McLaren goes around the outside? Potentially, he's hanging on. A little bit of contact between Giuliano Manu and Nitro, and Merckx has kept his foot in it. And that is chance after chance for Merckx to try and get hold of that place, but Giuliano Manu's still there on the inside of the penultimate corner. They're going to be side by side through the last corner. Move complete from Merckx. That was really good racing between the two, but Merckx always takes an opportunity when he can.
Absolutely, it got a little bit hairy for Merckx as he locked the rear, but manages to control it into that corner. That was important because both of these runners are on the medium compared to Joe's hard. So this is the stage where the hards are going to start to be better tyre than the medium, but they are clear and they seem to have more pace. It's just a massive shame that Merckx got that, 20-second penalty still remaining on him, because he's going to drop, in fact, probably P16 depending on how far Kent is. As Hulkenberger's dropped a few places. What's happened there? Oh, it's Clips Kiri that gets through, but Hulkenberger tries to fight it through. Doesn't have enough momentum. Clips Kiri gets ahead now, and that puts Sunboy right on the rear of Hulkenberger. He's going to try and look for the outside here. Will it be enough? They're going side by side as Joe gets a 3-second time penalty. They're going side by side into Copse. Sunboy just gets ahead, but has to go wide. So he keeps a position, but did go off the track in order to keep that. So might be a little bit of a conversation between them, but Sunboy threw in ahead, and that hopefully should be P9 for him.
Wow, that was brave through Copse. You don't see an overtake around the outside there very often, but well done to Sunboy. Like I say, if that was a move completed in the official season, I'm sure the stewards would have something to say about it in terms of completing it off circuit. But nevertheless, he has got up to 9th place. Hulkenberger is still there, but he's now got Typhon behind him. Irren is running wide at the final corner, and that's going to bring Gattuso and DJ Madman back into play. Mikey running around in 15th place, and he's going to get overtaken by DXT Matty on those new soft tyres and through into 15th. See how much pace the Williams has on those soft tyres if we only see any fastest laps. Merckx got past Nitrogash whilst we were talking and we were watching that fight for 8th position. So Merckx now up into 4th place, and can he close the gap down to Rudder? You got this lap that we're on currently and the next one to go. See if those medium tyres on his Haas are still working perfectly. We'll find out in just a few moments' time.
Yeah, so it seems that Ash did in fact have enough pace to pull away from Rudder now, 2.5 seconds, so that probably indicates that was a more strategic option to keep Matty in the DRS as long as he could. But Merckx is really closing in just outside the DRS zone. That's critical. It's going to be tough now. If he was just within, that would have made life so much easier for this final lap. So there was a great chance for him to, get a podium tonight, because he also served a 10-second penalty already, if you think about it, and he's on track to try and get 3rd. So he's just within the DRS range now. So whether Merckx's going to play this nicely, which I think he's still going to try and go for the move if he can, or he just holds back knowing that he's just going to drop a bunch of places. But hopefully he gives us a little bit more action towards the end. But there's still battles between Gel. Oh, nearly having a look on Joe. Not enough for there. Who else is having a little bit of a scrap? It's starting to really spread out though for this final lap. But I think the main action's between Merckx and Ruddo.
Yeah, it's really heating up in like 2 groups of 4 or 5 cars going on. Merckx right on the rear diffuser of the Ferrari in front of us as they go through now turns number 6 and 7 here at Luffield. He's all over the rear spoiler. Now the battery situation is interesting for the pair of them because Ruddo has got a lot more. Whether he can use that to defend, it's going to be a challenge for him down the hang her straight, but we will see. And that's the dirty air you just watched there and witnessed, ladies and gentlemen. That amount of understeer just washed the Haas out wide, and that might be the buffer that the Ferrari needs coming onto the main straight. Here we go then. Ruddo on the battery already. He's firing the car up. Merckx closing in towards the back of the Ferrari. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough, and the answer to that is a resounding no. Well done to Sydney. He's going to take victory for the first race of the evening here at Silverstone. Well done to him. Ashtube is going to take second, and Ruddo is just about going to hold off the Haas of Merckx, who's going to inevitably drop down the field. So it'll be Nitrogash, Gel, then Giuliano Manu in 4th, 5th and 6th, and we'll see where Merckx ends up as Sunboy leads the next group along.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if Merckx really did not have to serve any penalties. He'd be fighting for the race lead. I think with that pace, it was amazing pace that came through. But you just saw how much that car drifted wide into Copse from the dirty air. As well, surprised to know that was obviously still the mediums of Merckx versus the hards of Ruddo. So the fact that he kept those mediums in a good enough condition to fight the hard runner, it really depends on how you drive and how you kill your tyres or not. So, but clearly making good use of those mediums.
Yeah, absolutely true. And just looking at some of the comments, I'm going to run through the finishing order in just a matter of fact. I'll let you run through the finishing order in just a moment. But so there's a few comments just saying about tyre wear wasn't too bad actually for the medium runners. Sydney saying that his tyre wear was at 40%, so IRL spot on. It's about how you drive the car as opposed to just always pushing the car flat out and ripping up the tyres. So ARL, take us through those finishing positions.
Yeah, no, well, of course, first we're greeted with the new edition for F125, telling us all the stats of the race winner, fastest lap. Nice little addition, but clearly a good run for Sydney. Fastest lap in the race win. Gel gets driver of the day with the most overtakes for Matty, with Sunboy the cleanest driver. But Sydney wins from Ashtube, and Ruddo keeps his position over Merckx. Nitrogash finishes in 4th with Gel in P5, followed by Joe, Sunboy, Clips Kiri, Irun, and Hulkenberger for the top 10. DJ Madman from Merckx and Matty for 13th, with Gustan for 14th, followed by Typhon in P15, with Mikey Kent finishing the order, with Stephen Owen out of the race from lap 1, causing the first and only safety car.
I'm just looking here at the comments that Owen and Stephen have said about the incident. So Owen saying he's got hit from a car on the inside of turn 1, sent him into a big drift off track, back onto it, which wiped him out, and then got nailed by the pack. Stephen saying no ghosting is rubbish. I got caught on everyone else who crashed and went off. In front he was a sitting duck, so he's saying he hopes he can last one corner for the next race. Gel saying Merckx is alien pace, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, Merckx did come through the field very, very well there.
Yeah, he served 10 seconds as well. To imagine where he would have been if he didn't serve that. Now, yes, a bit of that helped with the safety car, because I believe he served the first one under safety car, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did,
Yeah, it was. So, yeah, he wouldn't have lost as much time, but, you know, still having to make amends for it. Did quite well there. But now we come to a completely different track now. I mean, 10 corners only of Austria. So much overtaking opportunity, just like Silverstone. But this is a track now where you need a very good straight line speed car, but just enough downforce to get it through the corners and get it stopped as well.
If you were picking a setup out of the presets ARL, if you were to pick one for this race this evening, would you be picking 4 or 5 in terms of the preset that you get?
The way I would go is, obviously you have the balance, which is just the perfect, you know, the best midfield runner. Then you obviously have the complete other end where it's just maximum top speed but the minimum downforce that you can basically have. Normally I would personally go with 4, because I do still like to have a bit of that downforce knowingly as well, because you remember, if this is over a 1 lap pace, you're likely always in clean air, whereas now you're in a battle with other cars. You need to have enough downforce to naturally stop it as well into these corners, and as well you'll be following so many other cars through the dirty air. You saw it going through Cops there with Merck, how much he drifted off. So you also have a similar corner through turn 9 where you have a fast right-hander, and if you are within dirty air, it will significantly put you offline. So I would personally go with 4. Some might pick 5. I wouldn't be even surprised to see some maybe thinking about the balance, but honestly it wouldn't be the right choice. But yeah, I would go with 4.
The only thing I can imagine people deciding to pick 3 would be if they want a good qualifying position, because I imagine with just a touch more downforce around here, it will give him the benefits going into the middle section of the track. So I'm sort of talking turn 4, 6, 7, 8. Well, there'd be a really good opportunity for drivers there. Even the braking zone into turn 2, it'll just keep the car a lot more settled. But we will see. We will see what the drivers decide. And we're just about to go into qualifying again. So we've got another 25% race coming up, obviously, for the league ahead in season 21. We won't be running a 25% races, we'll be running 50%, so the tyre wear will certainly have a lot more of a factor in for that one. So 4.318 kilometres of Austria we're going to navigate. Tyre strategy around here, I think the undercut's going to be quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, the undercut is always very powerful through here. You just get a resurgence of confidence when you get on that new tyre through corners such as, turn 9, turn 10. You just have so much confidence as well into the braking point. You know you can put your trust into that car to send it round, and just having that lap extra on that fresher tyre will boost you through. The problem with Austria as well is the DRS is so powerful. If you are 9/10 ahead of the car behind you, it's incredibly difficult to pull out because there are 3 DRS zones here, and they're all fairly long-ish straights that close up your rival to you. And I've had it many times where it completely annoys me because you might be a slightly faster driver than the car behind you, but just them being in the DRS keeps them with you, and then eventually sometimes even allows them to get side by side. So it's going to be an important one for that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And this is one of those circuits where we are expecting to see some DRS trains certainly forming, but I do expect a lot more action because of how intense it will become around here. There's only 10 corners at this circuit, so the mistakes can be minimalised around here. But I'm going to go into the qualifying. Let's see which driver it selects for us this time around. It's going to give me Iran. So we're on board with the Sauber driver then into the first braking zone at the 100-metre marker, down through the gears, 4th into 3rd then for the Sauber driver. A little bit of kick of oversteer, but no problem. Battery power being used up through the gears to 8th. Turn 2, this left-hander isn't really a corner in modern F1 cars. At the 100-metre marker, braking again down into 2nd gear. Really nice and tight line for Iran off the corner there. DRS again, so that's the second of the DRS zones navigated fully in this lap so far. Just after the 100-metre marker, again braking down to 3rd gear. Nice use of the curb on the inside. His teammate currently provisionally pole, but this can all change. Turn 5 and then turn number 6, the left-hander. Got to be really committed to this corner, but Iran is a little bit wide. That's going to compromise him on his lap time, and then again running a little bit too far over the inside curb, juts him out for 7 into the right-hander at 8. 2 corners to go, the Jock and Rink curves, I should say, and he just unsettles the car over the curb on the left-hand side, which pushes him wide. What was going to be a top 10 lap time for Iran is just going to work out outside of that in 12th place, but it's Ashtube taking pole position by almost 0.2 of a second, and that is a very competitive qualifying from him.
Yeah, no, very good lap time from him. Yeah, no, we only had 3 invalidations actually, so that's not bad. On a track that, you can invalidate turn 1 exit, and then 9, 10, that's pretty good performance.
Oh, it is. So we've got a Dutch 1-2 then with Ashtube and Gel, and then on row 2 you've got Kent and Ruddo. Owen and Jolian and Manu are on row 3 with Hulkenberger and Typhoon, the two racing bulls, in 7th and 8th. Sunboy and Nitro are inside the top 10 with Matty, Irun, O'Stephen and Madman going from 11th to 14th. Row 8 is Mikey with Mercked and Sydney not setting a valid lap time, nor did Gattuso or Clips Kiri. So Sydney and Mercked from the back of the grid. ARL, I'm now going to put you on the spot. Can one of them win it?
Oh, you really put me on the spot there. Well, the thing is, both of them are right there. Whether they played as friendly and they work together to get through the grid is one thing. But if they start fighting around, it's just going to hurt them more. It's a tough one to call. I mean, it's possible for either of them. We saw it with the pace. Sydney, cruised out long. And then Merckx obviously made his way through the field, so it's anyone's race. But Merckx does have the advantage because he is starting ahead of Sydney. But now it will obviously come down to strategy and what goes on in front of them as well, because they are far back. So who knows? We could get a repeat of what happened in Silverstone, where a car goes in the middle, and it's a bit of a barrier. So anything can happen.
Well, anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. And what we're doing right now is waiting for the drivers to settle themselves in. Matty has been booted again from the session, so not ideal for him. And just a quick note about Matty, actually. From earlier on, we did discuss about the reason why he didn't set, or rather didn't pit during the safety car, and it's because he'd been kicked out of the lobby and his AI had took over, and that was the reason why he hadn't been able to get into the pits, which he would have otherwise done. So rather than Matty being a cavalier, it was just his AI deciding otherwise. Race strategies on the screen there. I think it's going to be a one-stop race. I'd be surprised if anyone decided to do a two-stop, unless, heaven forbid, we had another safety car. And interestingly, ARL, we've got Owen, Sydney and Gattuso on the hard tyres, and Owen going from 5th place on the hard tyres. That's a bold decision.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, we've not really seen the hard tyre unless it was, needed because of the safety car on lap 1. It's going to be interesting because as well, let's say we get a safety car lap 1, what do? You won't have another hard to go to the end, but you saw how much more beneficial it is to pit, regardless of 25%, pit on the first lap for a safety car. So it closes the options, but we do know the mediums can run it in Silverstone, but obviously it's a completely different track. Sunboy as well is an outlier, the only one on the soft, so he's clearly going to what would probably be a hard maybe, because he will have to pit earlier, but he will get an incredible launch hopefully down into turn 1. Yeah, it's an odd one, but we'll see how it plays out. But that's crucial between the Merckx and Sydney comment. One of them on the medium, one of them the hard, and the hard runner being Sydney.
I wonder if Sunboy is wondering whether to do an extreme undercut on everybody, because you can gain a lot of time here if you're not in the DRS train on fresh tyres. I've seen it done a few times in seasons gone past in IRL, but we will wait to see if that works out. A couple of drivers getting DSQ'd for not lining up in the right place, but speaking of the right place, Clips is just pulling into the 20th row grid slot. Matty has rejoined us. Let's see if he can get in control of his car before turn 3. Green flag then waves at the starting gantry, and the 5 red lights are coming on for Austria. And the race is live here in Spielberg, and that looks like a cracking launch from Jel Geeson. He's going to be on the outside towards turn 1. You've got the Alpine of Kent locking a wheel and running over the outside curb there, so he's going to not be able to challenge Ruddo into turn 4. Looks like in the mid-pack we've got a few cars making some moves. Mikey, DXT, Matty, Sydney and co all the way there. There's a Haas locking up. That's a big one for the Haas, and there's a crash at the corner again, and it all stemmed from Merckx, I think, locking up and flying into the side of the cars at turn 4. If indeed it was, it might have actually been Sunboy, to be fair, but yeah, an accident already at the start.
Yeah, no, it started much earlier before Merckx, actually. It was Sunboy.
It was Sunboy.
Whether he got tagged around, but it's caused a whole chaos of damage. So many drivers with damage, and I think the majority actually, Madman's got damage, Merck's got damage, a lot of them got damage, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of them coming to the pit straight away.
That's an absolute disaster, so apologies to Merck. It wasn't you, Sunshine, who'd actually caused the accident, but you have got damage, so I'm imagining he's going to come in. Ash Tube sets new fastest lap. Bit of a squeeze for everybody trying to get through the penultimate corner with Madman Clips and the Alpine, so they've all managed to get around that one. Sydney and Merck in the pits at the moment, but it's Ash Tube who leads the way. And the top 10 are all within a second of one another, so this is going to be a 10-car train. Mikey up to 11th, considering he has the pace of a shoe. So well done, Mikey. He's doing a good job. I can be critical of Mikey. He is the IRL director. There's a yellow flag for Clips, who's gone off before turn 3.
Clips is actually, funny enough, on the run down to turn 1, it was getting very close to a few drivers even losing out before the braking point because they were all side by side. I wonder if that's another case of that for Kiri, but he's all the way back in 17th, so that's going to hurt. But yeah, important thing is now DRS is obviously enabled. Gel is in that 1 second gap to Ash Tube, and that's always going to be such an annoying thing. Is Ash had enough pace just to pull a gap, but it's going to mean nothing now if Gel has the DRS, and there you go. DRS enabled for Gel, as he just went actually to 1.1 out of the protection point, but the problem is he just wasn't out of it, and this is the issue now. It's dropped from 1.1 to 8/10s just from that short DRS straight, and look how it drops now as they rise up the hill to turn 3, and he closes it to 4/10s and nearly not far off ramming into the back of Ash Tube. So much better performance from the DRS runners to close up to the non-DRS runners, as look at it, veins through here. Now into the 3/10s. It's going to be tough now for Ash to pull away, but it's not all pressure for Ash. Gel will have Ruddo and other drivers on the rear wing soon.
Yeah, that he will. And Ash Tube, unfortunately, despite probably having a little bit more pace, like ARL called it before, you can be slightly quicker, but the DRS here is so powerful that the drivers are going to have to try and navigate it. The top 10 altogether then, from Ash Tube down to Iran in 10th place. Mikey's on his own in 11th position, but running pretty solidly, to be fair to him, as Kent picks up the first track limits violation already as we go on to lap 4. I expect there's going to be a few more. He does set fastest lap, although whether that's valid because of track limits, who knows. A little bit of oversteer from the Alpine as he exited turn 1, just about survives that for the time being. No one quite close enough because of the DRS train to make a move, so you're going to be focusing on Gel, who's so close to the rear diffuser of the Aston Martin in front of us, but he's got DRS, he's a lot closer, a little bit of battery being used, and I think the Dutchman's going to go for it on the inside at turn 4, and I think this is going to be move completed. No, Ash Tube giving it as good as he's got. He's going to be on the outside for 5, but the inside for 6, and the Aston Martin more than likely should stay in front, but here comes the Red Bull, but he goes on the curb, and that just gives a little bit of relief for the Aston Martin to stay in front for the time being, but it's very, very close.
Absolutely, but that little moment from Gel's put Rudder right on the back of the rear wing of the Red Bull. But like I said, on the first lap with DRS, the gap was 1 second as Ash crossed the line. It was then 4/10. It's just dropped. It's incredible how powerful the DRS is. As that Gutso out before turn 9. Gattuso out. And we have a VSC. So the front runners have passed the pit lane, but this might be golden for the likes of, who would it be? Oh, Steven, yes it is. Oh, Steven, Sunboy, Madman, all coming into the pits. But the front runners, the front, 11 or 10 runners, they already passed the pit lane.
Yeah, that is, and it is a full safety car as well, actually, so that might just mitigate the differences. So the VSC is going to get upgraded to a full safety car. I was trying to see where Gattuso had gone off. It looked like a strange place at turn 8, and I'm just thinking where he was fighting with anybody in the field. We'll have to find out from Gattuso. Maybe he lost it, but it'd be a very strange place to have dropped the car. So, safety car out on track. Ash Tube has got a 4-second advantage to Gel somehow, unless there's an issue with the Delta. I don't understand why there's such a big gap, but that's going to affect Typhon and Owen, because those guys in the DRS train, they're going to have to double stack. The same issue is going to apply to Iran as well, because Giuliano is a little bit further afield. So those guys might lose a couple of places here because of the double stack.
Yeah, and as well, remember what happens with a double stack is that second car is sticking out of the pit box, which whoever's behind that team, if someone comes into the pits, he's going to lose out on a few seconds until that first car gets released and the second car of Typhon gets out. So we'll see who that looks to hurt, but Typhon in, and there's the Visa cash out sticking out, and he has front wing damage, so is he going to change that? No, he's not, so he's going to stick with it.
Well, Owen and Mikey are the ones who've stayed out. They're yet to pit, so Mikey rolling the dice. He's got nothing to play for in terms of overall positions, but Mikey just going to go for it. Why not? I don't blame him. But Owen, he was the one who was on the hard tyres. We were saying before whether a safety car would make a difference to the fact of this race, how this race plays out. We will see, because Owen is on those hard tyres. He's still got to make a pit stop. Everybody else in the field, if we just have a quick look, you can see bar Mikey has made that pit stop. So Merck, Sydney, Clips have been in again, so they're going to be going from the back with fresh tyres. Typhon on the soft tyre, he has dropped back a spot because he was right behind Hulkenberger. He's now behind Nitrogas, so he's lost a little bit of positioning compared to where he was previously. And now it comes down to whether the pack can actually catch up, because Clips is at the exit of turn 4 and a safety car is at turn 9.
Yeah, we might get another repeat of Silverstone, where the thing is, this is only a 25% race, so that's probably why the safety car comes in quite a lot earlier. It simply just doesn't have enough laps to get everyone backed up and then still leave a good amount of laps to race at the end. But interesting one with Typhon, the soft tyres. He's not going to the end, is he? I mean, he can't, surely. He's got another, what, nine laps to go? Under racing conditions, probably? Or maybe even 10.
I'm fairly certain that in terms of the tyre compounds that Austria, they use, because obviously there's different types of soft, different types of medium, different types of hard tyres that Pirelli use. And I'm fairly certain that the soft tyre in Austria is the C6. Now, if the game is simulating the C6 tyre, that means that there shouldn't be no possible way that the Racing Bull car can make it to the end with the tyre wear, even on a 25% race. But is the tyre offset between the soft and the hard that great around here, as with the safety car is a gap to come in this lap? Will that make enough of a difference for him to fire himself up the road and gone before those soft tyres fall off a cliff?
The problem is, it's asking an awful lot as well
for
Typhon, because it's one thing to catch up and then another to overtake. The problem is, after one lap, remember, everyone will get DRS back open again, and it will somewhat be a DRS train all over again. And he's sitting in P10. He's got, what? He's got 7 runners in front of him on the hards. It's too much. He does as well have damage. The left front end plate gone off his front wing.
Speaking of gone,
he's gone now though, Owen. Yeah, we restart the race and here we go.
Speaking of gone, Owen is up the road and clearing off, and I think he'd be quite pleased that it's Mikey behind him, because Mikey is certainly going to act as the bottle here to block everybody. Not that he'll intentionally do so, it's just that we know how quick Ashtube and Co are, and there you go, he's passed the Ferrari already, and Gel's going to go through too. I'm imagining that Mikey will move out of the way for Ruddo, because those two will be chatting to one another. They are good mates, and Gel's up the inside. Go on, ARL.
Yeah, Gel completely catching Ashtube there, but Ashtube now a drag race to turn 4. Who's got the better traction? Who's got the best straight line speed? They're both deploying their ERS. Looks like Gel's got the inside covered, but Ash is not going to let this go. He's really going to challenge it through the exit now. They're still side by side. They're really close. Who's going to break later? Down into the corner. Ashtube just gets it now. Gel's going to retry that move he did on the inside, but he doesn't get it done. This time he doesn't take the curb, but just not enough pure traction to get through Ash. But he's keeping Ash on his toes. And all that's cleared. Owen, the 1 second gap though, but do remember, he does have to pit.
He does have to pit, and he's got that extra tyre wear, so I'm imagining that Ashtube already is closing that gap right back down. Ruddo's a little bit further back. He's got Kent's rear spoiler well, I say Kent's rear spoiler, the Ferrari's rear spoiler right there in proximity. Giuliano Manu's there in 6th, but Mikey's the one who's acting as the blocker. As I said before, he's now slipping away and he's doing a job for Ruddo. So Ferrugo's Hulkenberger, I imagine Nitro isn't going to be close enough. No, he isn't. Mikey going back up the inside of Hulkenberger. I wasn't expecting that. And he actually run a little bit deep there. So that's blocked the whole grid a little bit more. It's causing all sorts of carnage, and Iron goes past. Can anyone else get past Mikey? The answer to that, no, because Mikey, incredibly, got DRS back. So the Ferrari working wonders for his teammate and creating a little gap here between the front 6 drivers and the rest of the field. Iron at the back of that, then it's Nitro, then it's Sunboy, DXT, Matty. They are all together in a line, but Mikey is the one acting as a proper rear gunner for his teammates, and I think Ruddo will have a big smile on his face.
Absolutely. The important thing is, though, what does Hulkenberger do with Typhon behind? I don't know if it's exactly teammate-wise, but in today's scenario it is, as now he's going to have a look on the inside, gets through. Can he get the exit cleanly? He has a little bit of rear spin from that, but he just controls it and should actually, looks to be well through into turn 3. He is, but now it's a bit of contact between Gel and Kent and even Ruddo, but they all get along now as Ashtube is going to go for the lead of the race from Owen, and he gets it nicely done through into turn 4. He's back into the lead of the race.
That's what he was after, that's what he wanted, and Ashtube gets back in control of this race where he wanted to be, despite the chaos behind, as Gel goes past Owen. So that's a nice move for the Red Bull Inter-team play there. They've swapped places. Ruddo is also right there now on the back of Owen, who will try and act as a rear guard for his Red Bull teammate. Nitro now next driver to go past Mikey for 12th, and then Mikey now just falling down the field, and I think Mikey's going to go into the pits, but that's obviously an awkward pit lane, and that pushes DJ Madman out wide along with Clips. So yeah, massive gap now between those drivers. It's 3 seconds between 6th and 7th, and that is going to be, I think, fatal for those guys at the back to try and close down this front 6. It's going to be incredibly difficult as Ruddo goes past Owen. Nice move.
Yeah, no, Owen just starting to struggle as well, actually. It's a much bigger tyre offset. 10 to 5 laps is the difference, so it's hurting more, but Owen's not giving it up. He's going to try around the outside, but Ruddo should have that nicely clean, and he does have that line. But Ashtube's going to be livid with having to overtake Owen. He didn't make it easy for him. Meanwhile, he just lets Joe right through, and he's right on the back now. We're in 7/10 of Ashtube. So here we go for another round.
Another lap. Take a breath, ladies and gentlemen, because we'll try and do the same. Owen now bails into the pit lane, and that pushes Kent and Giuliano Manu up 2 spots. Ruddo has just about, I was just about to say, stayed within DRS, but he's not got it for this straight. So it's going to be crucial for his race victory, if he wants to get that, to get this line right out of the corner. And no, he hasn't. I fear that the Ferrari is not going to get back onto that train, but he is a second plus clear of Kent. Gel very close to the back of the Aston Martin, but still not quite close enough. Hulkenberger has got the Racing Bull teammate behind him. These guys from 6th through to 10th are nose to tail, but doesn't look like there's any moves being made just yet. Giuliano Manu goes past Kent, and Giuliano Manu last week flew through the field and ended up overtaking 10 cars. He had a great race. He's putting on a good show today as the Racing Bulls are side by side, and that's a move complete for Typhon. And I just wonder, we were saying before ARL about why Typhon went for the soft tyre. I wonder if he picked it because they were wondering about the front wing issue, and we've got an issue with the host.
Ooh. I was hoping that wasn't just me.
No.
Oh, something's completely gone wrong.
Something has gone completely Pete Tong. We've got a black screen in front of us, and we are navigating it as best as we can. It should clip back through, so I'm hopeful, even though that the game says everybody's
completely gone. Look at the track map.
Yeah, the track map everywhere. Is all over the place.
Yeah, it's unfortunately gone.
Damn.
What a shame. What a shame. That was.
They're all racing, but they're all racing on their own screens. Well, we'd have to take it on countback, because in terms of Invictus Racing rules and regulations, we look at the distance that is covered. So 25%, 50%, and 75% of the race, you have different point scales. Obviously, we don't have to worry about point scales tonight. 90% of the race completed would have been lap 15. Now, we didn't actually get to lap 15. We got to 14, as in completed laps. So I would say we're looking at a victory for Ashtube.
It seems that way. The thing is, it all depends on the rules. I'm not too sure, to be honest, on the procedures for a restart. Obviously, I don't think it would ever be the same amount of what we've just done. Whether it's a shorter restart or that's not obviously up to me, but I think we might be robbed of a few laps of good action, unfortunately.
Well, I'm just going to have a chat with our league director in terms of the procedure. I think, in truth, that's going to be it, to be honest with you. I think in terms of the rules and regulations, and I'll be honest with you, I'm biased here, I rewrote the rules and regulations completely for this season, so I know exactly what is featured in there. But I think that's going to be the end of it, sadly.
I mean, one person that will be loving that is Ashtube, of course, because he was, Gel was getting on the back closer and closer, lap by lap. But, of course, it's not a nice way to end it like that, regardless if you're winning or not. But, yeah, it's a mighty old shame.
Yeah, I am disappointed, I won't lie. And in truth, we were really on for a cracking rest of the race there. There was a number of narratives, a number of battles going on around the circuit. We've got drivers now retiring from the race. I think Mikey is going to call it in terms of the race being done. That's not the way we wanted the evaluation race to end. So, but that is confirmed. There we go.
It's seeming to be like the FIA rules and regulations are actually better, because you always see the teams finding loopholes with these rules. So I don't know if our drivers tonight can find loopholes to try and restart it. I mean, hey, I'm all for it, but no, I don't think that's any possibility, unless they could argue it's an evaluation race. Maybe they could say the rules aren't the same. Does it claim it needs to be the same for an evaluation race? Maybe they could find loopholes there, but no, I think that's all we can do, really.
Yeah, that is pretty much it, and that message has now gone out to everybody as well, to say that we are end of the session. Gel Geeson has just said, I would have went past P1 on last lap. Yeah, you probably would have done, because you were right there for the victory, Gel, but alas, the game has decided you're not going to get that opportunity. So there we are. So in terms of the upcoming season, what we have moving forward, I know that a lot of people have been asking questions about season 21. When is it going to start? My answer to you all is that it will be starting within the next 4 weeks. What we aren't giving is a confirmed start date yet, and the reason for this is because we are in a situation at the moment where Invictus Racing League, we've had a really good take up on, I think this is no, it's the AI now that have decided to take over. I'm just going to quit from the game before strange things occur. But we haven't yet announced it, because we're in that position with driver sign-ups. We've got a really healthy amount, and we're at a point where we could potentially run 2 lobbies. However, realistically, we need 5 more drivers to confirm the status of having a tier 1 and a tier 2, because we want to make sure we've got reserves in place. We want to ensure there's full lobbies, and if we do have 2 tiers, we'll have the opportunity to have 2 commentary teams, one for tier 1 and one for tier 2. But we obviously can't do that if we don't have solidified numbers. So we are going to do some social races next week and the week after. So the next 2 weeks we're going to have social races. I will be streaming those because why not? It's always nice to have some action going on the Invictus Racing League channels that you can watch and enjoy. So I will tell you more about those, and Mikey will announce the dates for them, and within the next week or two we'll also tell you when the start date is going to be. But right now, if you're interested in getting involved, or you have been involved today and you want to invite some more people who you know are going to be consistent, and I'm sure IRL will do the same, if we can get just a few more drivers, we'll have 2 tiers and we'll have a full solid 22 drivers for each tier.
I think an important thing actually to add on that is, you know, without having a confirmed date, I think is actually the right option, because, you know, like we've just seen tonight, game issues and lobby crashes is something we need to consider. It's a brand new Formula 1 game, and like every game, always these bugs. So as well, it's good to let the game, you know, just get up to speed, let the updates come through and fix these issues, because, you know, it'd be a real shame to have an issue like this. We were only doing a 25% race as well. So imagine in the 50%, if we had that in the middle of the race, it would completely change everything. So yeah, I think that's to add on as well, that it is going to help in the regard of the game being better, essentially.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And where we're at right now, we're finished for the evening in terms of the evaluation races. What will happen now for the IRL team is that they're going to be analysing the data from last week's race and tonight's races as well. Look at the lap times, look at the data, look at qualifying, and then assign the tiers. It's a relatively sizable job, to be honest with you, but the team that we've got here in Invictus Racing League are seasoned pros at being able to do it. So everyone will get allocated and they will be updated soon. We're going to reveal the calendar in the next week as well. I know what the calendar is, but I can't tell you right now. So obviously being vice director, I can be aware of what's going on. I haven't made any decisions. It's come from Mikey. So if you hate the calendar for this season, ladies and gentlemen, blame him. He's the one who's drafted it up. But ARL, I'm going to come back to you one last time before we finish up on the stream. In terms of a truncated driver of the day across your 2 races, who's impressed you?
Oh well, it's. I mean, normally you have one race and life is so much easier like that. So, the thing is, we've seen drivers up there. Merck having stellar pace in the first race. Sydney, of course, as well, going well. But then at the same time, if I'm thinking it, you know, the most sense, Ashtube was on the podium for both. In fact, and a victory. So Ashtube was up there for both consistently well. Rudder as well was there for both, so it really could be anyone's game. I mean, obviously the victory going to Ash, but then victory for Sydney, but Sydney wasn't in the mix enough in Austria. I could say anyone at this point, honestly, but no, Rudder, Ashtube, they're all up there for nominations, definitely.
You've done what Mikey did last week. Mikey did a couple of names, and then in the end I just went, right, I'm going to pick someone. So Ashtube, I'm going to give it to you, because you got that race victory in that truncated Austria race just now, and the podium results as well was fab in Silverstone. But that's it for this evening. Like I say, we will be back next week, and we will let you know the date and time when the first social race will be happening. It will be a 50% race as well. Everyone will be invited to get involved in that. If you can't make the first one, get involved in the second one, maybe even in the third one, depending on the days of availability when we can do it for everyone who has signed up. But it's goodbye from ARL.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. It was great fun to be back in the commentary box. It's completely different aspect for me. I'm normally the one in this chaos, but nice to see it from another angle. But yeah, no, it was good fun.
It was great fun having you in the commentary box with us, and it's goodbye from me, JackTM53, and whoever might be in the big wide world. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week for the social races.